Hey everybody, it is Dak here from the Ed Boys, and today's discussion video is going to be very fashionscape oriented, mostly about recolors and ornament kits, just cosmetic upgrades in general, but I'll likely be using the term recolor for the most part. I, for one, am a big fan of recolors, and generally recolors that are a rare drop or a grindable drop. I think they should add even more of them to the game. In this video, we're going to talk about like pros and cons of rare recolor drops, and then I'm going to throw down some specific ideas I have for some cool items that they could add a recolor for. So clearly this is all just cosmetic stuff. It doesn't affect GP or XP rates. Well, GP, if we're talking about tradable drops, I guess it does, but that's not as common. And all that really does is just add GP per hour to the bosses or like clues that have these tradable recolors or ornament kits. Cosmetic changes are a lot of fun though. They generally look very cool, though I guess exactly which recolor looks good and bad is going to differ from every person. But just having color options for gear makes it a lot more fun to mix and match, and it gives a little bit of life to the fashionscape side of the game. It is pretty lame when we get to some content that actually involves a lot of players, and then every single one of those players is wearing the same exact outfit. A lot of fashionscape fans do give Graceful some hate for this. Any skilling activity that requires a lot of running, it just has a bunch of folks in Graceful running around, but at least there are 10 different Graceful recolors now, giving you some options. Imagine if it was all just default Graceful, dude, what is that? Serpentine helms and the mutagens that recolor them do give some pretty solid examples for the recolor drops that I'm talking about here. If you're doing any group content where anybody has to be wearing a serpentine helmet, the Tanzanite and the magma helmets really do stand out immediately. They look a lot cooler and they have sort of a prestige factor to them since the mutagens are such a rare untradable drop. And theoretically, imagine if mutagens were tradable. They're so rare that they'd likely be pretty expensive. Not insanely expensive since it's just a cosmetic, not an actual upgrade, but it would add profit to the boss, so even hypothetically, these drops are an awesome drop. Mutagens being untradable is a nice bonus for the Zulrah grind, though. I'm not here to say that we should suddenly make mutagens tradable. That was just a small point I was bringing up. If you couldn't care less about recolors or ornament kits and whatnot, then you probably don't like the mutagen drop, as it's just worth 0 GP. It's a little more convenient when we're talking about like a pet drop, where it's a bonus drop. When you get a pet, you still get your normal loot too, and that is not the case for mutagens. With a mutagen drop, it's kind of reasonable to think that that could have been something more rare and expensive. Instead, it was just nothing. It's absolutely 0 coins. Even a regular drop would have been worth more money. Sure, that is a bit of a thumbs down. But if you like the recolors and you just like landing rare drops in general, the mutagens are a super nice bonus to the drop table. It's like a bonus token for your grind. There's also pets that's already like a token for your grind, but there's only so many places that you can bring your pet with you. At least when you recolor gear, you then get to go use that gear as long as you're recoloring like useful gear, I guess. Not to hate on pets at all, I'm just trying to talk up the recolors a bit. Other than the fact that these rare, untradable recolor drops don't make you any money, I really don't see any downside to having these drops on a drop table. I guess if you don't like the look of the recolor compared to the default, it's kind of a problem, but you could always just use the default. It's not as prestigious, but I guess that's the price you pay for your favorite color. There's also a lot of players that are trying to complete collection logs. Adding these drops to bosses would add more slots on the collection log to fill up, making it more difficult to finish the log out. Nobody is really on pace to finish like the entire collection log necessarily, but even just completing that single boss is going to be a lot harder when it has 2 different mutagens on it. I can see the downside of that. I love seeing the greened out collection log once you've completed a boss, but I personally like the idea of adding more content. I enjoy getting that greened out log, but it's even more satisfying if there's more cool drops on it, and I think the recolors are pretty cool. Not to say that every single boss needs to have like a bunch of recolor drop options, but I do really like being able to change up your new best in slot gear or your new skilling outfits into whatever color you like. So in general, for future bosses and gear add-ons in the game, I would like to see more recolor options be added in, generally as a rare drop like the mutagens from Zulrah, but I've got ideas for some recolors on items that we do already have in the game, so let's go over those. First of all, the Dragon Hunter Lance. The Lance is a beastly weapon demolishing dragon bosses like Vorkath and Ulm, and it is a fun weapon to use. It's a little bit boring to look at. The boss that we get the Lance from is the Alchemical Hydra, though I guess Zami is part of it too, since you need the Zamorakian Spear. For the most part, though, the Lance is tied to Hydra. So I think we could give Hydra a drop, or multiple drops technically, that recolor the Lance, and very simply, it could just be the colors of the Hydra. She has 4 of them, so it's probably less clunky to just add like 1 Hydra dye that could recolor the Lance to any of the Hydra colors. And to be fair, the Lance is basically colored like the 4th phase already, so more like just adding green, red, and blue options. Next, we're taking it back to Zulrah. The blowpipe is one of the more commonly used weapons in the game, and we've only got one look for it. Ironically, Zulrah already has mutagens, and you can recolor the helmet from Zulrah, so why not let us use the mutagens in the blowpipe too? Technically, we wouldn't need the Tanzanite mutagen since the blowpipe is already a Tanzanite color. So I also propose that we add a third mutagen to Zulrah, a serpentine mutagen that could be used in the blowpipe to make it the same color as the default serpentine helmet. I do think that a magma blowpipe would be cooler, and I already kind of like the Tanzanite blowpipe color, but again, I like having different options here. I mean, when you're using like a blowpipe and Carol's, I think that the Carol's armor's a little bit closer to a serpentine color than it is to that Tanzanite color. The Dragon Boots have a super sweet ornament kit that had some gold trim to them. Unfortunately, there's an upgrade to Dragon Boots, so it's not really worth chilling with your gold trim Jordans. I don't see why we don't have recolors or even ornament kits for Cerberus boot upgrades. Dragon Boots are the only predecessor with an ornament kit since there's no Ranger boot ornament kit or Infinity Boots kit, but I would like to see like some gold trim on the Primordial Boots, Eternal Boots, and Pegasian Boots. I don't know exactly how they want to drop these in. I feel like it could clearly be another drop to Cerberus, like I said with the last two bosses, but they could also squeeze an ornament kit onto the clue scroll tables. Next, we got that Pyromancer gear. This leads me back to a point that I made earlier. It's a bummer when we get a bunch of players to finally do like one piece of content together, like Winter Todd, and then everyone is wearing the exact same outfit, like the Pyromancer gear. They did give us a recolor for the Phoenix pet, which is pretty cool, but the pet is so much more rare than having the outfit. It'd be really cool if we could recolor the outfit to all of the colors that we can recolor the pet, just so we can mix and match a little bit more. I don't think it would make a lot of sense to do it with firelighters like the pet was, but other than that, it would basically just have to be another drop from Winter Todd, which is reasonable, but probably shouldn't be that rare overall. I'd love to see a bunch of different colored Pyromancers running around at Winter Todd. Lastly, for some of my foolish recoloring and ornament kit ideas, we have the Trident. Technically, the Trident of the Swamp is better than the Trident of the Seas, so it tends to be used more often, but I think that the upgrade is visually more fitting on the Trident of the Seas. It could go on either of them, I guess. You see this guy? No, not that guy. This guy. This is the Great Guardian. He's the big guy in the middle of Guardians of the Rift that you have to give your Guardian Stones to. He's holding a trident, a golden trident, in fact. I'd love to have an ornament kit that makes Trident of the Seas or Trident of the Swamp even have this gold color on it. The trident isn't a best-in-slot weapon, but the better staves are a lot more expensive, so the trident is still used very often, and this would be a cool add-on. I guess making it a drop from Guardians of the Rift would be kind of weird, so I'm not 100% sure how else you would add it into the game. I guess at this point my ideas are kind of running out. That is about it for this discussion video, everyone. I am personally a huge fan of rare recolors and ornament kits that add really cool looks to some of the best items in the game, though those who don't like recolors and ornament kits seem to really hate when more of them are added. But honestly, if you already like the look of an item, then you just don't have to use the ornament kit. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but overall, cosmetics, recolors, ornament kits, it's not a game-changing topic. It's really just about fashionscape, right? But that doesn't mean that it's not a fun topic and a fun add-on to the game, so it's at least worth discussing. On that note, though, being a discussion video, it's a bit one-sided until you continue the discussion in the comments below. So far, it's me just rambling on to you, so let me know what you think about these points that I've made, and I can get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much for watching this recolor discussion video, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. I do stream on Twitch, which should be linked on the screen and in the description. I am also on Twitter and have a Discord, which are linked in the description. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and best of luck on your grinds.